426 Hemi Charger dominated American drag strips with 425 horsepower of pure Detroit iron. But 7,000 miles away in Australia, Holden's Monaro GTS 350 was writing its own legend with a lighter chassis and that same Chevrolet small block heart that powered everything from Corvettes to Camaros. When these two finally met on the quarter mile, one walked away with bragging rights that still echo through muscle car history. Late 1969 brought two muscle cars from opposite ends of the planet into the same conversation. The Dodge Charger RT with the legendary 426 Hemi represented everything American muscle stood for: massive displacement, earth-shaking torque, and the kind of straight-line brutality that made insurance companies nervous. Meanwhile, Australia's Holden Monaro GTS 350 took a different approach to the same problem. Lighter by nearly 400 pounds, powered by Chevrolet's proven 350 cubic inch small block, the Monaro proved you didn't need 7 liters to run hard. The Hemi Charger's reputation preceded it everywhere. That 426 cubic inch elephant motor pumped out 425 horsepower at 5,000 RPM and a staggering 490 pound-feet of torque at just 4,000 revs. But those numbers told only part of the story. The Hemi's real advantage came from its hemispherical combustion chambers, the design that gave it the name and the power that made it legendary. Those chambers breathed better than anything else on the street, which meant the Hemi made power where other engines wheezed. Floor it at 3,000 RPM, and the Charger lunged forward like something possessed. The weight transfer was instant. The rear tires clawed for grip, and the 4-barrel carbs delivered fuel like they had a personal vendetta against anything in front of you. That power didn't come cheap. The Hemi option added nearly $900 to the Charger's sticker price in 1969. Serious money when the base RT started around $3,400. You paid extra for the heavy-duty suspension, the beefier transmission, the massive radiator needed to keep that furnace cool, and you paid at the pump, where the Hemi drank premium fuel at a rate that made gas station attendants smile and owners wince. But nobody bought a Hemi to save money. You bought it to go fast, and nothing else in Dodge's lineup could touch it. The Charger's shape helped too. That fastback roofline and that recessed grille weren't just for show. Dodge's wind tunnel testing proved the 69 body slipped through air better than the 68. Less drag meant more speed, which meant the difference between winning and watching someone else's taillights. The RT package gave you everything you needed to put that power down. Dana 60 rear end, heavy-duty suspension, front disc brakes that actually worked. This wasn't some weekend warrior cobbled together in a dealer's back lot. This was a factory hot rod engineered to dominate from the showroom floor. Australia's Holden took a different path. The Monaro GTS 350 arrived in 1969 as Holden's answer to Ford's muscle car Push Down Under. General Motors owned Holden, which meant access to Chevrolet's parts bin, and they reached straight for the 350 small block. That engine had already proven itself in Camaros, Corvettes, and Chevelle across America. In the Monaro, it made 300 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. Impressive numbers, but nothing close to Hemi territory. But the Australians understood something crucial. Power means nothing if you can't use it. The Monaro weighed in around 3,300 pounds compared to the Charger's 3,700. That 400-pound advantage changed the math. Less weight meant better acceleration off the line, sharper handling through corners, and less strain on every component from brakes to transmission. While American muscle cars were adding weight for luxury features, Holden kept the Monaro focused on what mattered: going fast. The 350 small block brought its own advantages. Smaller displacement meant better fuel economy. Not that anyone buying a muscle car cared much, but it helped. The engine sat lower and further back in the chassis, improving weight distribution. Better balance meant the Monaro rotated through corners instead of pushing through them like the nose-heavy Charger. On Australia's winding coastal roads, that balance mattered more than raw horsepower. Holden equipped the GTS 350 with everything Australian drivers needed for local conditions. The suspension soaked up rough roads without going soft. The 4-speed manual gave precise control over the power delivery. The handling package turned the Monaro into something that could actually use all that power without swapping ends. This wasn't just American muscle with a different badge. Holden engineered real improvements for Australian roads and Australian drivers. The numbers told the story before these two ever lined up. Motor Trend tested a stock Hemi Charger RT in early 1969 and recorded a 13.5-second quarter mile at 105 miles per hour. That trap speed revealed the truth. The Hemi made serious power at the top end, where most engines started gasping. 0 to 60 happened in 5.3 seconds, which meant the Charger hit highway speed before most drivers finished shifting into third. That acceleration came with drama too. The rear suspension squatted hard, the front end lifted, and everything in the car rattled from the violence of it all. Australian magazines tested the Monaro GTS 350 and found respectable but not earth-shattering numbers. The quarter mile came in around 14.7 seconds at 95 miles per hour. 0 to 60 took 6.2 seconds. Those numbers put the Monaro ahead of most cars on Australian roads, but they didn't match the Hemi's raw acceleration. The trap speed difference, 10 miles per hour slower than the Charger, showed where the power gap really hurt. The Monaro ran out of steam at the top end while the Hemi kept pulling, but quarter-mile times only measured one kind of performance. Take both cars to a road course and the story changed. The Monaro's lighter weight and better balance let it carry more speed through corners. The Charger's massive torque meant it could power out of turns, but the Monaro was already gone by then, using its nimble chassis to stay ahead. American muscle cars dominated drag strips. Australian muscle cars dominated everything else. The real comparison came down to philosophy. Dodge built the Hemi Charger for one purpose: straight-line dominance on American drag strips. Every engineering decision served that goal. The massive engine, the bulletproof transmission, the Dana rear end, all designed to handle maximum power and deliver maximum acceleration, comfort, handling, fuel economy. Those were compromises you accepted for quarter-mile supremacy. Holden engineered the Monaro for real-world Australian driving. That meant balancing power with handling, speed with control, performance with practicality. The 350 small block delivered enough power to dominate local competition without the Hemi's thirst or maintenance headaches. The chassis handled rough roads without beating occupants senseless. You could drive a Monaro every day and enjoy it. You could race it on weekends and win. The Charger was a specialist. The Monaro was versatile. Cost told another part of the story. A base Hemi Charger in 1969 ran close to $4,300. Serious money for a car that drank premium fuel and needed constant attention. The Monaro GTS 350 sold for significantly less in Australia, making it accessible to more buyers. That price difference meant more Monaros on Australian roads, building the legend through volume rather than outright dominance. History remembers both cars differently. The Hemi Charger became an icon of American muscle, the ultimate expression of displacement and power. Low production numbers and racing success made it legendary. Today, a numbers-matching Hemi Charger can fetch $500,000 at auction. That 426 engine represents the peak of American V8 development, the last time manufacturers built street engines without compromise or concern for emissions or efficiency. The Monaro GTS 350 became Australia's muscle car legend for different reasons. It proved you didn't need the biggest engine to build the best car. That philosophy influenced every Australian performance car that followed. When Holden brought back the Monaro nameplate decades later, they honored that original balance. Enough power to thrill, enough control to use it. The GTS 350 showed that smart engineering beats brute force, at least when the road isn't perfectly straight. Both cars reflected their markets perfectly. America had wide highways, cheap fuel, and drag racing culture. Build the most powerful engine possible and worry about everything else later. Australia had winding roads, expensive fuel, and diverse driving conditions. Balance the package and make it work everywhere, not just in a straight line. So which car wins? On a drag strip, the Hemi Charger takes it every time. That 125 horsepower advantage and those low 13-second quarter miles don't lie. The Monaro never stood a chance in a straight line. But expand the battlefield beyond a quarter mile, and the answer gets complicated. The Monaro's lighter weight, better balance, and more accessible power made it the better daily driver and the smarter choice for real-world performance. The truth is, both cars succeeded at exactly what they were designed to do. The Hemi Charger dominated drag strips and defined American muscle car culture. The Monaro GTS 350 proved Australian engineers could build world-class performance cars without copying American excesses. Different approaches, different markets, different legends. Both earned their place in muscle car history by doing what they did best. The Charger by going faster in a straight line than anything else on American roads. The Monaro by balancing performance with real-world usability on Australian streets. The debate continues among enthusiasts today. Hemi fanatics point to those quarter-mile times and that unmatched power. Monaro supporters counter with handling, balance, and everyday usability. Both sides have valid points. Both cars represent the best thinking of their time and place. And both remind us why this era of automotive history still captures our imagination. Because manufacturers built cars with personality, with purpose, and with the kind of character that made you want to drive them hard every chance you got.